It's that time of year again when World of Tanks Blitz released their new Christmas tank that is completely broken. Or is it broken? Well, in today's video, guys, we're going to be discussing about the new Concept 1B and letting you all know if it's worth it to try and gamble for the tank. Now, jumping on to the armor profile, the most interesting part about this tank. Now, what makes this tank considered to be broken, or is it just average? Well, what makes it people think it's broken is the turret armor. The turret armor is the best in tier 10, do not get me wrong. It's just a fact, you cannot penetrate it at all, no matter what tank you are. Even the Horai with gold shell does not stand a chance against this turret in hold down position. This just makes Kronwagen's turret a paper, literally paper. And that's the thing with the Concept 1B, it has one of the best turrets in the game so far. However, when you move on to the hull armor, and since the tank is not really tall at all, you actually are quite small, and you have the top plate of only 280 millimeters thick at that, or even sometimes 290 if you angle it a little bit, but most of the time you can have 280. Now, if you do actually use the armor buff, I think it's improved armor, you do up that whole armor just by a bit. I think it goes to 290 millimeters, so you will be getting a very solid upper plate. And I do think that's very worth it, considering that you get a stronger upper plate that can't be penetrated by TDs using their normal AP shell. However, when you switch to gold shell, you can penetrate the top plate on the Concept 1B. And you do not play this tank in the open because you'll get absolutely wrecked. However, I think you have absolutely amazing side armor. Just look at this side armor here. This makes the VK90 side armor look puny. Just look at this. 700 millimeters on the side and 900 millimeters there. This side armor makes VK90 side armor look absolutely trash. And just look, you just can't penetrate this thing at all. Now, if you do overangle, you can get penetrated in the tracks, but it is an American tank. I think we all knew that. But for enough of the tank, I think the side armor is absolutely amazing as well. And that's what another good factor on this machine is. So, I've talked about the whole armor and the turret armor mainly. Obviously, this is a weak spot as well. You can get I think you can get hate sheets sometimes. It does depend. It does depend what caliber it is on the tank destroyer by hash. If it is hash, you will be getting penetrated easily. But yeah, you do have troll armor here. You can bounce actually with this troll armor there. The sides, I think it's side skirts. I'm not so sure, but you can bounce with those armor platings. But then again, you can here see that, you know what, it's not bad because you can't really get hate sheet there. Hash can go through you, of course, but it's not much of a big problem there. And of course, the rear is not the strongest, and the bottom plate is only sitting at 154 millimeters thick. So this can be enough. Of the armor profile, boys. Basically, what you want to do with this tank is play in hold down position, and you will be winning 90%. Now we've got the armor out of the way, let's talk about the gun. Now, this is where the tank gets let down by a huge mile, in my opinion. The DPM is good, don't get me wrong, you've got really good accuracy as well. But the only issue is, you have a 380 alpha. Now, why Wargaming made the tank 480 alpha, I don't know why. It should have been a normal 400 millimeter, but no, more 400 alpha, but never mind. I guess they wanted to make this tank different. But with the gun, yeah, it's just not the best of itself. I mean, Chieftain and Super Conqueror have a way better gun compared to this thing. However, it's not bad when it comes to DPM, but the penetration, it's not the best as well. Only at 258 millimeters. Yeah, I think this is one of the tanks where you do need to run gun rammer, so you boost that penetration, because the penetration is simply not enough on this thing here. Even the hate sheet really does suck for its penetration. And obviously we all knew the gun depression is at 10 degrees, so you can work those hills quite easily, and you also have the elevation of 20, so you're not really fearing much. The top speed is very fast. You are very mobile in this thing. 45 kilometers an hour. You know how fast that is? You are so fast for a heavy tank of like this. Yeah, I think the mobility is a bit busted on this thing, to be fair. And the reverse of 18, yeah, it might not be 20, but it's still effective and is very good for a tank like this. And yeah, so basically, if I were to sum up the tank for you, a very broken turret. However, your hull armor is not the best. Um, you haven't got the best hull armor. The gun is very, it's meh. It's not the best gun, but the mobility is cracked. So let's get started about the whole review of my opinion on the Concept 1B. Well, in hold down position, do not get me wrong, this thing is completely strong and utterly broken in hold down position. And it's very menacing as well, because you just don't want to come up against it in hold down position. However, unlike like any other tank, you just can't always rely on hold down position all the time. You've got to be good in the open, you've got to rely on that armor, you've also got to make sure that any mistake you do make, you will not be punished for it. And, well, the Concept 1B doesn't really shine for this. In my opinion, you've got AMX Emily 54, VK90, Super Conqueror, all that have a better hull armor compared to this. And why? Well, because the hull armor on this thing is not impressive at all. You've got a hull armor of the top plate on the hull sitting around like 270 millimeters. That is not thick at all. I mean, if you do use that kind of depression, sure, it gets stronger. But in the open, on flat ground, if you load the premium shell on your medium, I think sometimes even a medium tank, or even a heavy tank, will most likely have a tank or a tank destroyer, that top plate on the Concept 1B becomes absolutely paper. And that's what not a lot of players do understand about the Concept 1B, is that it does not have a strong upper plate. And that's what I really do recommend if you do come against this thing. Load gold shell against the upper plate if it's in the open on flat ground, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to cut through it. And also, I like to talk about what I also like to talk about with the Concept 1B is with the gun that really does let it down. It only sitting at 380 alpha. It's just not good enough. I mean, TDs at tier 10 with a big alpha, they can switch to HMD like 600 to 500 alpha, just like the FE, the Death Star. But then you're just going to trade back and you're only doing 380, and that's stupid in my opinion, but that's just Blitz. But that's just my opinion on like how bad this alpha is. It's just not the best. Fair enough, you have a good DPM, as I did mention, but you also have a very bad alpha. And it's just not good enough for a heavy tank in my opinion. But there's nothing to really worry about though, because if you did give this tank a very good gun as well, fair enough, this tank would be busted. This would be absolutely broken, indeed. But since it does have a really meh gun, I can't really say it's broken, because in my opinion, if you're wanting to get this tank, I'll just say no. It's not worth it. It's not worth the $100 price tag, or how much money you want to spend on it. It's not worth it. It's simply just not worth it, because gambling at the end of the day for this tank is just not worth it. I mean, in my opinion, I would save your gold for the auctions. You're probably going to be seeing the AMX Emily 54 or the VK90 or even the Super Conqueror. All these tanks are better than the Concept 1B. Yes, in hold down position, the Concept 1B shines. However, the AMX Emily 54, the VK90, and even the Super Conqueror can all be very strong in hold down position, and if not just more stronger than the Concept 1B. And that's why I'm saying this tank is not worth the price tag of gambling for $100 or even more. It's just simply not worth it for a Pixel tier 10 tank. And that's why I do not recommend spending this price for this tank. But if you really do want it, then I guess go for it. But then again, you're just going to be wasting your own gold, because you're just not going to get any. You're just not going to be able to get enough gold for the auctions. You're not going to be able to get your hands on VK90 or AMX Emily 54 when they do hopefully come out to the auctions. So, I mean, it's just your choice at the end of the day. Do you want to risk your gold and probably get your hands on this tank, which is just, in my opinion, not as good as a AMX Emily 54. It's not as good as a VK90. It's not as good as a Super Conqueror. Maybe it's just like the Super Conqueror, but better in hold down. That's all I can say. But basically, yeah, I mean, that's the thing of the Concept 1B. It's just like, you've got the VK90, you've got all of these tanks that probably just outshine the Concept 1B. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad tank. It's a very strong tank. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very strong tank. I'm not saying it's bad. All I'm saying is that it's just not worth the price tag of $100 or more to gamble for it, because you're going to save that gold and get something very broken or very strong in the auctions. And that's what I'm saying, guys. This is not worth the gamble. I would definitely recommend saving your gold and waiting to see what comes in the auctions. And yes, if there's no good tier 10 in the auctions, like a VK90 or AMX MLE54, then yes, gamble, and hopefully you have the luck to try and get your hands on the Concept 1B. So yeah, I thought I'd make a video on the Concept 1B, stating if my opinion is, if it's broken or not. Now, Meti did do his review talking about the tank and saying if it was broken, and he did state it was average, like it's an average tank, or it's just decent. And I do agree with him there. I do find this tank decent. Now, you could say, fair enough, I don't own the tank, but I have gone against it multiple times, and I can tell you that it is actually pretty easy to deal with. And trust me, when power creep kicks in, and when this tank gets eventually a couple weeks old or a couple months old or anything like that, then this tank will be easy to deal with. Honestly, it'll be so easy to deal with. It won't even be a threat anymore in the battlefield. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because the top plate is not reliable in this tank. And that was a nice shot there. So yeah, that's the end of this. Is gonna be it for today's video, guys. Thank you all for watching. And if I could sum it all up to you, it's not worth the gamble. Save your gold for the auctions, and you'll probably get your hands on the VK90. So see you.